Hello, and welcome to another episode of Words and Bubbles. Well, it's finally here, number one on my list, and the book I've chosen is A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, the Deluxe Edition, by Rick Remender, Lima, Araujo, and Chris O'Halloran. So another Deluxe Edition. I promise it's the last one. Okay, so you know the drill with Deluxe Editions by now. All the issues of the series, in this case there are 11, which is a little out of the ordinary. I tend to view it as the creators telling the story they wanted to tell, and taking exactly as long to tell it as they wanted to. No stretching things out because they have 12 issues they need to fill, or cutting things out because they only have 10. Also, that obsessive part of me that notices such things appreciates that 11 is a prime number, and that, unlike other prime numbers, 5, 7, even 13, it is often overlooked when deciding how many parts make a series. So I'm more than cool with 11. Besides from those 11, the book contains variant covers and character sketch designs. There are also a few pages that show the progression of the panels, from pencils through inks and to tones, and some rough covers and color explorations. More substantial, we get to see how the whole first issue moved from script to rough drawing to inked panels, and finally to completed colored panels. All in all, the book is over 330 pages long, so it's a pretty substantial work, and certainly the most complete version of the series. As for the series itself, it's about a man, Sonny Wen, whose most defining feature is that he's average, going up against a group of contract killers, preventing them from completing a hit, and in the process becoming the surrogate parent of a boy that they are after. As a premise, it's decent, but it isn't exceptional. And with Lone Wolf and Cub and all its descendants, it's practically a genre. So it's nothing groundbreaking. One could argue a similar thing about the artwork. It's nice rather than absolutely brilliant. And the writing? Well, the script at the back of the book shows how sparse that was. Nothing wrong with that, it's just that it doesn't scream, "Look at me, I'm wonderful." Nothing about this book does. So it's a bit hard for me to pinpoint why exactly it's on the top of the list. I think the reason is how well it all works together. At least it does for me. Certainly a case of the whole being better than the sum of its parts. Take the start of the book. It's 5 pages before a word is spoken. And those words are simple pleasantries exchanged when Sonny lets an older couple on a bus before him. Simple, everyday words, average words, words that any one of us could say. So nothing groundbreaking, nothing exceptional. The other people on the bus are normal too. And not comic book normal or Hollywood normal, normal. So far, it's a slice of life story, but a slice of a life that's very easy to identify with. And because you identify with it, you're drawn in. You're curious where Sonny is going, why he's going there. And because you're not told, as I hinted, there's not much dialogue, and there's hardly any other written exposition. All I can think of at the moment is the headings at the start of some of the issues that tell us what city we're in. So as you're not told, you're forced to really study the artwork to divine all you can about what's happening. This sounds like it could be an arduous process. It isn't. The book is trying to tell its story, so the artwork isn't hiding meaning from you. It's there, on display. All you need to do is look, and maybe think a little. And that story will reveal itself. But just the act of looking draws you in more. Taken together, it means that you're drawn into a story where you identify with the main character, which isn't a bad start. Talking about starts, the book starts slowly. This isn't a bad thing, but I thought I should warn you that it does start slow, at least for a comic book. The whole first issue is basically Sonny taking a bus trip to a house. As I said, we don't know why, but when he gets to the house, he discovers that a man and woman who are living there have been brutally murdered. So brutally that I'm not even going to try and show it here. What I will say, though, is that this displayed brutality is a shock, both because it's sudden, and because there is such a contrast between it and the mundane scenes of daily life that the book has shown up until that point. This is a pattern that is followed throughout the book, quiet scenes, familiar scenes of daily life, interrupted by sudden, horrific violence. This is one of the reasons this book reminded me of A History of Violence, both a graphic novel, but more so the film. I say more so the film because the peaceful scenes of both this book and that film had a sort of languid, muted beauty to them. At least that's how I remember the film. I haven't seen it in years. This technique is also pretty effective in showing how out of place Sonny is in this violent world. How much more at home he is in the world of letting others onto the bus first. So the question becomes, why has he moved out of that world? Why has he given up that world he is comfortable with, for a world of assassins and violence? The short answer is that he's a good man. An average man, but a good one. Probably most average men are good. I don't even know whether it occurs to most average people that they have the option of not being. That's not the point of the book, and I have no strong feelings on the matter, so I won't delve into it here. Point is, he's good. And assassins killing whomever they want doesn't sit well with good people. A longer answer is provided in the book. Sonny is an insurance investigator, and during the course of his investigations, he stumbled upon a dark website that functions as a marketplace for contract killers. He can't go to the police because there's evidence that they are involved. So Sonny is faced with a choice. Let it happen or do something. We learn that letting it happen isn't the sort of man Sonny is. That he isn't the sort of man who will just let bad things happen because it isn't his job to stop them. He is a man of action. He doesn't look like it. He doesn't have the six-pack or cool car or other obvious traits of a typical action hero. But he is a man of action. So he acts. Unsteadily, even clumsily, he acts. Slowly to start with. This is probably much more realistic than how heroes are typically portrayed. Nevertheless, I felt angry at him for a moment. Angry that, with the stakes as high as they were, he acted unsteadily and slowly. Angry that he wasn't up to the two-dimensional heroes I was accustomed to. This anger subsided the second I realized that Sonny was more of a hero than the action heroes I was comparing him to. Both because he was prepared to go into a sphere he wasn't familiar with, and had no talent in, to do the right thing, and because the danger he faced was greater than the danger they do. He was a sheep prepared to forego sheepish things and battle wolves. As for the rest of the book, I'll leave out much here, mostly because there is little reason to go into the details of what happened, of whether and how Sonny defeated the villains. All of that is obviously in the book, but it's not really what the book is about. It's not what I'll be taking away from the book anyway. I'll be taking away the lessons the book gives, that sometimes responsibility falls on those just because of where they happen to be standing. That just because we all have a million things to worry about doesn't mean that we shouldn't enjoy the present. That we should celebrate small things, good food, walks, days on the beach, even reading a good comic book. Again, none of this is revolutionary. But again, it works in the context of the book. Like the technical aspects of this book, these little lessons are greater than the sum of their parts. So I shouldn't focus on those parts and just say, instead, that the whole book put me in a good mood. It left a smile on my face, even if it wasn't something I'd classify as feel-good. One last thing, the title of the series is A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. But that doesn't sound much like Sonny, who only ever wanted to do the right thing. So you'd be forgiven for thinking that the only reason the title was chosen was because it sounds cool, which it does. I'm not going to spoil the ending here, but I will say that the title does make sense in the context of the last issue, issue 11. The seldom used prime, that in this case wraps up everything in a satisfying bow. Okay, that's everything I wanted to say here. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you come back again.